Hi everyone, this is Mony. How have you guys been? In Seoul, the weather has been getting a little bit chillier at night, which means that summer is finally over and fall is coming. Summer used to be my favorite season, but I don't think it is now because it was brutally hot this summer. I think spring might be my favorite season now. Today, I want to do my summer wrap up or what I read during the summer. Usually, at the beginning of each season, I look up people's videos on their summer reads or fall reads to build up my own list. So this summer, I had a list of my beach reads or summer reads, but I ended up not reading any of those because this summer was a little rough emotionally for me. I felt lonely in a way that I hadn't before. So I ended up reading 6 books, and the books were about loneliness, about hormones, and about, I guess, I wanted to learn more about myself. So I'll be talking about those books. And if you expected beach reads, I'm sorry, I don't have any of those books here. It's really interesting because I think I started to read according to my mood. Sometimes if I'm super happy, I can't really get into sad books, but sometimes if I'm super sad, I might not be able to enjoy like romance book, but people are different. So anyway, let's get on to the video. So the first book I read was The Lonely City: The Adventures in the Art of Being Alone by Olivia Lane. I believe the author is an artist herself. I didn't know about this book at all before picking it up. I picked it up because a YouTuber I watch, who is a Korean living in Seoul, suggested it. This book talks about the author's experience of loneliness as well as different artists like Andy Warhol and how loneliness shaped their work. This book was so fascinating to me because I don't think I've read a book about art before, but it also made me realize that a lot of us turn into art when we feel lonely or isolated. And interestingly, we become more creative when we are lonely or sad. At the time of reading, I felt very lonely, so it felt comforting to see that this book reflected back to me. The second book was Breast and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami. I already made a whole video about this book, so I won't say much here. I absolutely adore this book. It's not a light read, so bear that in mind before going into this book. This book deals with difficult topics such as womanhood, our body, the pressure of looking pretty, but also the pressure of having kids. And it made me think deeply about what it means to be a woman in our society. So I think every woman should read this book. Actually, I think every man and woman should read this book. I really like books that make me think, and this book especially, even after reading it, I think it's been like 2 or 3 months now, I still think about this book. The third book I read was Period Power by Macy Hill. Around this time, my hormones was all over the place. Before my period, I feel this burst of anger and this burst of negative energy that I cannot get rid of. So I wanted to find a book, or I wanted to seek help. I wanted to understand my body better, basically. So I was looking for books and this book came up. This book talks about women's menstrual cycle and our energy shifts in between those cycles. It kind of divided the cycles into 4 parts. So women's cycles are different, right? So some people have like a 29-day cycle, some have like a 35 days. So within these days, the book divided the cycle into 4: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And it talks about how like before our period, we can experience these kind of things and what kind of hormones activates these kind of feelings. It was super interesting, and it surprises me because even though I started having my period, I think over 10 years ago, and I probably will have my period in the next, I don't know, 30-40 years, I didn't know about these things. Some of the parts in this book felt a little bit under-researched or without any grounded truths, but overall it helped me become more aware of my cycle and be kinder to myself in times that I don't feel that great. The fourth book was Attached by Adam Levine. This book explained about attachment styles, and it also gives practical tools on what you can do when your partner and you don't have the same style, or what kind of things you would do if you have like a certain attachment style. I've always suspected that I had some anxiety in relationships. I never really had a word to like explain, but after doing the questionnaires in this book, I learned that I have an anxious attachment style, which means I'm scared of my partner not liking me enough, and I always have this anxiety every time, which probably stems from childhood. But this book also showed me that it's not completely my fault and there are ways to deal with this. For example, I should communicate clearly about what kind of person I am, what I want from the relationship, what kind of love I want to receive. I think communication is really key in any relationships. So the fifth book is Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahattin Ali. This was my first Turkish novel and it did not disappoint. It follows a young man from Turkey who went to Germany in order to find work, and he met a woman with a nickname Madonna. It's about yearning and it's about longing and it's about love. What struck me the most was how tender and sensitive the male protagonist is. Maybe I haven't read enough book, but I don't usually see male characters written this way, especially in older works. Because this book was written a long time ago, there were some parts that I don't like, but overall it was beautifully written and it was very moving. So if you're looking for a book about love and longing, this book won't disappoint. The sixth book is What I Talk About When I Talk About Running by Haruki Murakami. This was actually my second attempt into reading this book because the first time I couldn't get into it at all. This book is about Murakami's reflecting on his running journey, on his practice, and how it ties to his creativity and his life. Running has actually become quite a big thing in Korea. I don't run, but before picking up this book, I did try running once. I lasted a few minutes and I actually ended up walking the whole time. What stood out to me was how running is described in this book as a metaphor for everything, about patience, endurance, listening to the body, and creativity. And even though it's such a simple book, and I don't think it's for everyone because some parts can be a little bit boring, but I like the part when he talks about swimming because I do swim, and I like how he thinks running is the core thing to his creativity and him living the life that he is today. So the last book, I know I said I read 6 books, is because the last book I'm not done yet, and it's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Maybe you've heard of this book before because a lot of people talk about how amazing this book is, how it changed their life, and Dorothy even has like a series on YouTube of her doing this book. So this is kind of like a practice book. It's divided into 12 weeks, so you can think of it as like a 12-week workbook, and each week there are different tasks, and every day you have to write something called morning pages, or like a 3 pages journal. After you wake up in the morning, you just jot down everything you think about. And also once a week you have to go on an artist date with yourself, doing something that you've been wanting to do. I'm currently on week 5 and I don't know if it completely changed my life, but writing morning pages now are much easier, and it takes me about 30 minutes to write the morning pages, but I find it therapeutic, and I find that I worry a little bit less when I write those stuff. And I love the idea of artist date because I usually am someone who do not really value self-care. Ever since starting the book, I go on museum dates by myself during lunch, or I go to the libraries more, and I've gotten myself a haircut, I get massages. I know that there are many things in life that we have to do, but a lot of us tend to put self-care last in the list, and I myself am included, so I want to change that. And because my mental health was really bad at the start of the summer, it was good that I picked this book up because I really needed a revamp in my life, and I needed something to focus on that is helping me grow. Maybe one day I'll make a video on me doing this task, but for now I just want it to be an experience that I have with myself and myself only. So yeah, so that was my summer reading list. As I said before, there were no beach reads, but I had a little bit of like a romance book in there, some about mental health, some about physical health. So if you like any of those books, add it to your list. And if you've read any of these books, please comment down below and please give me recommendations on what I should read for fall. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!